Tom Winter, you've just poured through Mueller's first memo. I think we're expecting two from him. What did we learn?
So, Chuck, just to piggyback off of Mimi's point, I think it's important to note that this isn't necessarily a break here. There's not a fight between prosecutors in the Southern District and the Special Counsel's Office. There are two discrete investigations, and so the Special Counsel's Office is providing a little bit more detail here as far as how Michael Cohen may have been helpful to them. I want to read this kind of an important section here, and I'm just going to read off the screen. It says the defendant, who's Michael Cohen, also provided information about attempts by other Russian nationals to reach the campaign. For example, in or around November 2015, Cohen received the contact information for and spoke with a Russian national who claimed to be a, quote, trusted person in the Russian Federation who could offer the campaign, quote, political synergy and, quote, synergy on a government level, end quote. The defendant recalled that this person repeatedly proposed a meeting between individual one and the president of Russia. We know, Chuck, that individual one to refer to the president of the United States, Donald Trump. The person told Cohen that such a meeting could have a, quote, phenomenal impact, quote, not only in political but in a business dimension as well, referring to the Moscow project, because there is, quote, no bigger warranty in any project than consent of, in parentheses, the president of Russia. Cohen, however, did not follow up on this invitation. So that's interesting, Chuck, because it appears that Cohen was approached in November of 2015, which was obviously quite early on in the campaign, and you would know this better than I, but quite early on in the campaign, that there was somebody in the Russian government or somebody well-known, well-trusted in Russia that suggested some sort of a political synergy as well as a business synergy. The memo goes on to say, Chuck, second, Cohen provided the Special Counsel's Office with useful information concerning certain discrete Russia-related matters core to its investigation that he obtained by virtue of his regular contact with company executives during the campaign. Third, Cohen provided relevant and useful information concerning his contacts with persons connected to the White House during the 2017 to 2018 time period. Fourth, Chuck, Cohen described the circumstances of preparing and circulating his response to the congressional inquiries while continuing to accept responsibility for the false statements contained within it. The conclusion says that the defendant's crime was serious. Remember, this is only referring to his lie to Congress. The defendant's crime was serious both in terms of the underlying conduct and its effect on multiple government investigations. The sentence imposed should reflect the fact that lying to federal investigators has real consequences, especially where the defendant lied to investigators about critical facts in an investigation of national importance. However, the Special Counsel's Office notes the defendant, who's Michael Cohen, of course, has made substantial and significant efforts to remediate his misconduct, accept responsibility for his actions, and assist the Special Counsel's investigation. Accordingly, the Special Counsel's asks or submits to the court that they should give due consideration to Michael Cohen's efforts set forth above, which is what I just read, and that it would be appropriate to allow the defendant to serve any sentence imposed in this case concurrently with any sentence imposed in his other case, the one that we've been talking about for the last couple of minutes. So basically, what they're talking about, Chuck, is that if he's going to serve a period of, and I'm just going to propose a hypothetical or an example, say he gets sentenced to 4 years in prison for the New York case, that if he's, say he's given 2 months for lying to Congress, that he serves those 2 months at the same time. In other words, he's not going to do four years in the New York case and then another 2 months. So that in layman's term is what it means. Right. But it's clear here, Chuck, that Cohen did provide some information about some attempted efforts or contacts that were made by people that are associated with Russia, and we need more details about that, but we're not getting any more from this document. I will note that there are no redactions that I have found in the 7-page filing by the Special Counsel's Office.
In either document. And in fact, can we lift up here a minute, Tom? I want to go big picture here before I get into the legal back and forth here. Let's take big picture and information that we've actually gotten in both of these filings, okay? The first filing, which is the Southern District of New York, for what it's worth, this is basically the heart of this investigation is the Stormy Daniels, Karen McDougal payments, the women that have allegedly had affairs with the president when he was a private citizen, and the attempts to buy them off, cover them up. I should point out in this filing, it says in particular, and as Cohen himself has now admitted, with respect to both payments, he acted in coordination with and at the direction of individual one, which we know is the president in all of this. As a result of Cohen's actions, neither woman spoke to the press prior to the election. That's not an insignificant finding here, Tom, is it not?
Yeah, it is, Chuck. So it's more explicitly saying what was in the criminal information, and it's saying essentially what Michael Cohen allocated in court back in August of this year, basically saying, hey, I did this, all these payments at the direction of the president. And he stated that back then, but I think it got a little bit lost because it wasn't quite explicit in the criminal information in the court paperwork that he pled guilty to at the time. Today, I know that exact paragraph that you're referencing, it directly draws the line. Cohen is essentially saying here, hey, those payments to those two women, the ones that I'm in trouble for now, the ones that I pled guilty to, that I may go to jail for, yeah, the president told me to do that. And I think it's important here at this point, Chuck, to say, well, you know, for folks that may be watching us saying, well, wait a minute, isn't the president on the hook for some legal exposure there, from some criminal legal exposure? And basically the way it's been referred to me, Chuck, is that if the president was in any other position in government, if we were talking here about the mayor of a city, if we were talking here about a governor, we would be talking here about somebody who would eventually be testifying against that person in court. They would likely be charged by directing this payment. But again, we have a situation here where it's Justice Department policy where they don't charge a sitting president. That's probably the only reason why here we're not looking at us talking about an indictment or a pending indictment involving Donald Trump. That's really the only reason why, as it's been explained to me.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.